Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you guys liked my videos. This is a story about what if Naruto was a Super Saiyan. Bardock is about to die, but a dimensional rift when the Yondaime summons death god the Shinigami pulls him into the Naruto world and onto Kyuubi's back moments before the ceiling. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and leave a like and check the description for the creator of this great fanfic and support them for making this fanfic. Now let's start. Chapter 8 Snow Time. Naruto was not amused. Not by a long shot. Staring intently at the large group of people on horses in samurai armor while hovering between them and the woman dressed as a princess they had been chasing. Only they weren't samurai and the woman they were chasing was not a princess. They were actors. Actors shooting a movie in Konoha and the director of said movie, a Princess Fun movie at that. Even worse, the movie's director had failed to inform the Hokage about a chase scene being filmed while using the village as the location for it. Apparently, the director of the movie wanted to play the scene out so people around the actors would be naturally startled and surprised by the scene itself. What it did was make Naruto angry since he had been walking and eating a bowl, his 10th, of ramen at the same time. His mastery of energy manipulation allowed him to hover the bowls of food with ease, but the stampede of horses had hit all except the one in his hand. Naturally, the loss of so much food of the gods K would not go unpunished. Sadly, the need to avenge his beloved food was delayed when more Konoha ninja arrived to stop him from doing something rash. They quickly explained the situation to him, so the desire to obliterate the actors in armor was going to be put on hold for the moment. So with great reluctance, the Saiyan Uzumaki stayed his hand, but he would avenge his favorite. Avenge. With that being determined, Naruto flew to the Hokage Tower to investigate further about the situation since rumors were flying about a possible mission to guard the actress. Not that Naruto would enjoy it considering the woman didn't even want to sign autographs for the children who were big fans of her movies. She actually turned them down, hurting all their feelings, and doing it without any regret in her eyes. Naruto had to banish the thought of sending a small orb of energy into the woman's chest and kill her instantly via a hole where the heart was located. As much as the woman had deserved a much-needed reprimand, Naruto knew it would not be through him, and went with the, see if anyone else does it before I do, approach. As it turned out, rumors were in fact true that the actress for the Princess Fun movies was in need of protection per the director and manager of the spoiled actress's request. They had gotten word of some of the more rabid fans plotting something, and it was whispered to be life-threatening. While the movie studio had hired standard security, the director and the woman's manager were not about to take any chances. This woman was the bread and butter for all the Princess Fun movies ever made. If she died, the company would lose millions upon millions of ryo. It was better to spare no expense now over losing far more in future revenue never getting into their pockets. The money made from a single Princess Fun movie could easily pay for such high-level protection expenses 10 times over. You want me to be that woman's bodyguard? Her. That spoiled little actress, who just a moment ago, I saw wanted to swat away a group of children hoping for her autograph. Are you more drunk than usual? Asked Naruto, since the mentioned woman's manager, Asama Sanadayu, had been the one to make the request with the director's approval. In order. Yes. Yes. Sadly, yes. And no, I'm perfectly sober, you cheeky little brat, said Tsunade while glancing over at Shizune with a mild glare for stealing her sake away earlier. Damn goody toe shoes. The younger woman just had to act all responsible and deny the senju her beloved's sake. So what if it was the early afternoon? She wanted her sake, damn it. Who else is coming beside me? Granted, my presence alone is overkill, but all it takes is one person to sneak around me to end Yukie-san's life, said Naruto, since he could be in the middle of a fight with someone and it could all be a distraction while a second person sneaks around to put a blade on the actress's throat. Good question. Unfortunately, your group obtained from Orochimaru's base cannot go with you. Karen is not ready for anything related to combat. Suigetsu will freeze where you are going due to Snow Country having blistering winters. Jugo is out of the question for obvious reasons, and Kimimaro is needed here to keep him calm. That being said, you will be heading out with Team Guy and Team 7. I know you have misgivings about the latter, but Kakashi has actually been to Snow Country before in his youth. He could prove useful on this mission given the terrain, said Tsunade while Naruto grimaced. Just so long as the Uchiha doesn't do anything stupid. Not to mention Sakura better try to pull her weight. Who is filling in for me since I'm not part of Team 7? Questioned Naruto with Tsunade producing a picture of a pale-faced boy in standard ninja gear. His name is Sai. Danzo approached me with him and said his skills could fill in the gap left behind by your departure from the team. From what I was able to wiggle out of the old war hawk, the man personally trained the boy, said Tsunade while Naruto snarled at the mention of Danzo. Meaning the boy is beyond the level of genin. Not to mention he will be Danzo's spy to observe the Uchiha and ultimately myself if given the chance. Not to mention this guy will have the personality of a wet dishcloth, said Naruto while looking at the picture and burned it up in his hands. While Naruto didn't know much about the man per se, he knew enough about Danzo to want the bastard obliterated from the world. Given he was a rival of the Sandaime for the title of Hokage and had done many questionable things in his long life, always stating, it was for the good of Konoha, each time. But Naruto knew better. Bardock's memories of how certain people aka Frieza had destroyed planet Vegeta for the greater good of the Planet Trade Organization. Also the Super Saiyan of legend would not arise from the ranks of the Saiyans he treated like garbage. Greater good his Saiyan but. Frieza did what he did because the lizard knew the Super Saiyan of legend was stronger than himself. Frieza saw himself as unmatched and the idea, no matter how remote, of someone or something being stronger irked the cruel tyrant something fierce. I'll let everyone at my home know. I just hope they don't start killing each other while I'm gone, remarked Naruto with a sigh before he flew out the open window. Damn brat is worse than Jiraiya. At least the pervert doesn't knock over my paperwork when he exists, exclaimed Tsunade angrily. Paperwork you have yet to start Tsunade-sama. As I recall, you delayed working on it by going to a meeting with intentions of extending the time frame of working at your desk, commented Shizune while Tsunade laughed sheepishly. That obvious? Asked Tsunade while Shizune just smiled and as if by magic or possibly the use of a pocket dimension, brought out another 6 stacks of paperwork to do. Right on top of the large pile she already had on the desk. Yes, replied Shizune while secretly enjoying her teacher crying at the sight of the pile of paperwork needed to be filled out. One of the many ways of paying the Senju woman back for all the years of gambling and drinking sake at bars. There was also one time when Tsunade tried, when drunk, to get Shizune to take a rather fat pimply man with a rather perverted look on his face on a date. Oh yes. Revenge was indeed sweet. Naruto's home sometime later. What? You get to go on a mission guarding the actress who plays Princess Foon. While she is shooting another movie. And I can't go, demanded Karen angrily while shaking Naruto with equal fury. Not my call. Take it up with the Hokage, replied Naruto with amusement in his voice since he knew his cousin was going to raise all sorts of hell on the Senju woman. Oh I will. Just you wait, exclaimed Karen while shaking her fist with righteous fury in her eyes. The kind that made male Nara clan members run for the hills to get away from. Why can't we go? Asked Suigetsu with Naruto smirked. You can't go because the location isn't good for your body if it turns into water. I doubt you want to be turned into ice and risk being shattered into over 100 pieces, said Naruto with Suigetsu grimacing at the image playing in his head. And Kimimaro nor Jugo can't go because one needs to keep the other sane. The Hokage is still working on a treatment program for him, said Karen since she had been tasked in assisting the Hokage and Shizune with the project. Hence why I am going with Team Guy and Team 7, said Naruto with those around him looking angry about it. What? Team 7? The one with the broody emo jerk. The one with the banshee with a shriek strong enough to wake the dead, asked Suigetsu while Naruto nodding. And the one with the sensei who is always late and reads porn openly without shame, asked Karen while her eyebrow twitched with a tick mark. The very same. They also got a new teammate to fill the void I left behind. Some pale-faced and most likely emotionally stunted ninja named Sai, said Naruto while he saw the confusion on everyone's faces. How do you know or suspect the new guy is emotionally stunted? Asked Karen since she was sure Naruto wouldn't make such assumptions right away. Because he was recommended and trained by Shimura Danzo. The man hates all things related to emotions and stomps them right out of a person being trained under him, said Naruto while everyone made, I see, type of noise. There is more to it Naruto-sama, said Kimimaro while everyone turned to the albino. Oh. What else is there? Asked Naruto curiously. As you know, I was one of the most loyal followers of Orochimaru. I knew many things. Saw many things. I never questioned him. Never challenged him. As such, my loyalty to the Sannin at the time allowed me to go with Orochimaru as his prized bodyguard. There were multiple times when Orochimaru would meet with various contacts personally for one reason or another. I was to ensure none of them tried to betray my former master and attack him from behind. One such contact. Was Shimura Danzo, said Kimimaro with the Saiyan's eyes widening in shock. Are you sure? Asked Naruto with Kimimaro nodding. I was standing right beside Orochimaru on several occasions when he met with Danzo. The man had brought several dozen masked leaf shinobi with him. Each them was the same in terms of how they acted, but also in how they moved. They were too stiff. Too rigid. While I am not a censor like Karen, I could tell those leaf shinobi were not the usual Anbu that Konoha possesses. They were in a sense, emotionless, said Kimimaro with Naruto clenched his hands into fists. That fucking hypocrite. I heard stories about him in passing. People saying he was a true patriot. That everything he did was for the good of Konoha. How he would defended it from all evil. Only to be working with that Sannin for some reason that is clearly not one related to patriotism, said Naruto angrily since his firm belief in both the Sandaime and Danzo being cut from the same cloth was clearly justified at this point. I remember that fucker too. He was all calm and cold when talking to Orochimaru. As if the Sannin couldn't attack him. Or he knew something that kept Orochimaru from trying to attack him, added to Yuya while Kin nodded since she had heard the rumors about the man when it sound. Have you reported this to Tsunade? Asked Naruto while Kimimaro shook his head. I have not had the time. Your Hokage has been too busy with paperwork, meetings, and treating Jugo to be informed of this, answered Kimimaro while Naruto sighed. Make time. Go into her office and tell her everything. At the very least, we can use the information against Danzo in the event he makes a move against me. Or the Hokage for that matter, replied Naruto with Kimimaro nodding. When are you heading out to take the mission? Asked Kin curiously. Soon. Within the next few days. The rest of the group needs to be told, supplies gathered for the trip, and several other things connected to our travel. Hopefully, nothing bad will happen while everything gets prepared, said Naruto though he just knew the universe was going to do something to screw him over if it saw a moment to create some shits and giggles. It usually did. Several days later, Naruto was right. The universe was trying to screw him over for shits and giggles. First, Kakashi and Team 7 aka Team Unreliable arrived late to the meeting point. Second, the actress his team was assigned to guard had decided to flee to who knows where. As a result, they had to track her down before someone did something stupid to her. And finally, though not such a bad thing really, but still an annoyance, his own hair was changing color. It was changing from blonde to red the last couple of days and thus it was showing off his Uzumaki traits now coming into existence. Not that Naruto minded since he personally thought the aspect of having spiky red hair was more badass over that of having spiky blonde hair. Still, if what images he saw of Bardock's son Goku ascending into Super Saiyan with his hair going from black to gold. Meaning if he ascended, his hair would change color from red to golden too. Provided he could ascend to becoming a Super Saiyan. But for the moment, Naruto decided to focusing on finding their client's runaway actress and cash cow before one of the woman's more rabid fans decided to do something bad. Something to make this mission a total failure and thus make Naruto's life difficult since he knew people would blame him for everything. The people of Konoha usually did. She is in here, said Neji while he used his Byakugan to see the target was hiding out in a bar and drinking heavily. For someone who wishes to hide from the public, she is doing it in the most stupidest way possible, commented Naruto since bars were public areas, filled with people, and the bartenders were known to give out information to anyone willing to pay enough for it. All the usually things they were trying to avoid. I'll go in and subdue her. The rest of you should stay outside. We don't need anyone here making a scene, said Naruto while Team Guy understood while Team 7 frowned. Well, except for Sai. But he was an emotionally stunted tool so no one focused on him. Why you? Demanded Sasuke with Naruto glaring at him. Because I can get her out of there without making too much of a scene and I won't let my ego stand in the way of the mission, said Naruto while Sasuke glared at him. You aren't exactly the embodiment of stealth Naruto, commented Kakashi while he was reading his book. And you are. What about Guy? Either one of you says Shinobi of Konoha, challenged Naruto while Kakashi had to admit it was true. What about you? Asked Sakura while Naruto smirked. Me. That's easy. I'm a Saiyan, said Naruto before vanished from sight one moment and was back the next with a now dizzy green in the face woman. Clearly the high-speed movement and drinking sake earlier didn't mix very well. The fact Fujika's Yukie had fallen to her knees and puked 2 seconds later confirmed it. That's fast, commented Neji since there were few who could move that fast or close to it. Thank you, commented Naruto while keeping a firm hand on the woman at his feet having just finished puking what she ate earlier that day out of her system. We better get her somewhere less discreet before someone recognizes her and jumps to conclusions, said Guy with the others nodding, and they moved quickly to get out of the public eye despite it being near the dead of night. Sometime later, Fujika's Yukie woke up with a start. Looking around, the woman saw it was a cabin of sorts, and judging from the rocking movement around her, this room was part of a ship. A large ship meant to hold a large crew and guests on board, which she quickly deduced held the rest of the film crew for the next movie. How she hated acting. Putting on that fake smile every time the camera rolled. Pretending to be something she was not. To be this woman who she was not. It was a life of lies and deceit. She couldn't live like this. She needed to be herself. Her true self. She wanted to be free to walk in the street without being surrounded by fans of her movies. Free to walk around and not fear assassinations. Fear of her enemies knowing who she really was and have her life snuffed out at night. If not for being somewhat dignified woman with a secret past known to a few, Fujika's Yukie would have screamed out loud in frustration. Fortunately, a knock at the door, followed by it being opened, revealed the person who had caused her to pass out shortly after puking. You, exclaimed Yukie furiously before groaning as the hangover decided now of all times to kick in. Yes. Me. The one who found you in a bar, the one who grabbed you from said bar, and the one who put you here in this room on this ship. You are welcome, by the way. You were in a public place where people could easily identify you if they looked hard enough with keen eyes. People like that bartender who was pouring you drinks, for example, said Naruto, who had gone back to the bar within the hour of dropping the woman off at their assigned hotel and interrogated the bartender to see if he talked. Which he did to an agent of an agent of an agent of this woman's true enemy. Even now, Naruto had informed his shinobi comrades of the snow shinobi seeking to target them while their ship headed for Snow Country. All on the payroll of one Kazuhana Dodo, who was not only acting as a warlord tyrant of his late brother's kingdom, but wanted his ever-elusive niece dead to prevent her from claiming said throne of snow. And it just so happened that said niece was heading home. If albeit unknowingly at the moment. But she would. The woman wouldn't like it, but that was life. Besides, from what Naruto had learned after putting pressure on the woman's manager, Dodo was an asshole bleeding the country dry, all to unearth the advanced technology buried under the snow the winters here kept at bay from seeing the public eyes. The only reason the man was able to hold on to the country as long as he did was because the people below him did not have the strength or means to rebel despite the slow gathering of said strength to do it one day. That and what money he didn't bleed from the people to fund his attempts at mining for technological wonders went to the snow shinobi who were the true muscle the man had in his employ. So long as he funded them in their village, as well as promises of grander things in the future, they would fight for him, and crush his enemies wherever they tried to pop up. Unfortunately for the tyrant ruling this cold terrain, they didn't count on a Saiyan being the main opposition here. You shouldn't have done what you did. Your life is in danger, said Yukie while Naruto looked amused. What? You mean bringing you here on this ship? Please. Don't be so dramatic. There are no cameras in this room, so don't bother acting, replied Naruto while Yukie glared at him. I'm not acting here, you baka. If you only knew who was beyond my name, you would take this seriously, exclaimed Yukie angrily. Who says I'm not? Who says I don't know the truth? Asked Naruto while Yukie looked at him with suspicion. I doubt you truly understand, challenged Yukie angrily. She would be wrong. Maybe you should make a game of it. Every time she is wrong, a piece of her clothing has to be removed. Play your cards right and you could see her naked, said Kyuubi with a smirk on her face. Quiet you. Now is not the time for teenage hormones to run rampant through my body. That comes later, thought Naruto, knowing the fox in him was trying to get him in the mood for the whole mating process she felt he should start. Promises. Promises, Naruto-kun, said Kyuubi while sighing and knowing she would have to wait a little while longer. I do. Your manager is very loyal to you. He was resistant to tell me the truth at first. But when I showed him the power to obliterate something from exceedingly long range, he was open to telling me more. Mainly about you, Kazuhana Koyuki, said Naruto with the woman going tense and slightly fearful, which was not unreasonable in the Saiyan's eyes. Such information was worth a daimyo's ransom. Quite literally, in this particular case. Fortunately, the young woman in front of him was not a daimyo, not yet, of her own country. That and the one who claimed the title of daimyo unlawfully had no intention of ever paying said ransom. And Naruto wasn't kidding when he told Koyuki about his demonstration of destroying something from far away with impressive firepower. A single orb of energy in his hand was shot from the ship well over 100 miles out to sea. He imagined the explosion from the aftermath could be seen all the way back from the mainland where they left port. It still helped make the impression to Koyuki's manager that he could protect her if push came to shove, but only if the man was honest with them about the truth behind who they were guarding. So imagine that most of them, sans Kakashi, looked quite surprised over the fact the famous actress they were assigned to protect was actually certified princess, and with a little luck helped become the new daimyo of Snow Country. So you know the truth. Will you kill me now? Collect the bounty my uncle has placed on my head. I imagine it far more than what your village was paid to protect me. It's only natural that you would. The job would quick, clean, you can say whatever it is you want on how I died so no one would be the wiser. You get to keep your pay my manager gave you and the money my uncle will give once my head is laying at his feet, commented Koyuki in a bitter tone. Contrary to what you were thinking just now, I'm not going to kill you, said Naruto with a sigh leaving him. So why are you here? Asked Koyuki curiously. To tell you that the director is setting a movie scene up on another part of the ship. Get ready in 20 minutes, said Naruto before he walked out her room and shut the door. Why me? Thought Koyuki before she sighed in defeat and decided to do her job and just get through this mess that was life. Sometime later, she's a good actor, commented Neji calmly while he and Naruto watched the movie scene play out on the ship. Agreed. Still, our situation requires more than good acting to complete this mission, replied Naruto while Neji grimaced since he and everyone else were made aware of the woman's true status. It is also hard to imagine your ability to turn into a giant ape, commented Neji since Naruto had filled in everyone, sans Team 7, of the potential he possessed due to his Saiyan heritage when in that form. Hence why staying outside when the moon was out in full while they were on the ship had been strictly enforced. They didn't need Naruto turning into one and sinking the ship before they reached their destination. Never underestimate the moon, my friend. She holds tremendous power. It is all about who can draw upon it when the time comes, said Naruto while Neji shuddered since he figured his beating by the now red-haired Saiyan's hands had been merciful. Such an act pulled during the invasion when fighting Gaara could have been used on Neji and the Hyuga would have been destroyed as a result. No gentle fist move could stand up against such a large creature. Do you think Dodo will strike soon? Asked Neji while seeing the woman they currently acting in front of them earning herself another fat paycheck in making this latest movie. I would. If he knows our route. I'm sure someone was able to tell him in exchange for a nice finder's fee, but that person most likely received a sword to his neck instead, said Naruto while Neji raised an eyebrow. How do you know that? Asked Neji while Naruto looked out into the sea. Because I asked her manager. Dodo doesn't give money or rewards to anyone unless it is absolutely necessary or in his best interest. A simple informant, who no one will miss if he dies, is easier to get rid of by quietly ending him once his usefulness has ended, said Naruto while images from Bardock's past came up with his Saiyan team being killed by Frieza's minions prior to the tyrant moving to exterminate the entire Saiyan race. I heard the man is a tyrant to those he rules over. It's no wonder the people are secretly planning a rebellion, said Neji since the manager had given them the grim details about how Dodo killed his own brother and moved to take the throne illegitimately. He's weak piece of shit. Take away his fear, his allies, and weapons. What do you have? A man who will do anything to outlive and kill his enemies. Take away the means to do that and you have a coward. Tyrants are cowards at heart. Take away what gives them the ability to be feared and they are nothing. Less than nothing, said Naruto while Gato and Frieza came to mind. Unfortunately, he has a lot of allies Naruto. Not to mention technology beyond anything this world has ever known and more of it buried under a lot of snow, replied Neji, since the rumors of the country were known to all. Regardless, we will still make sure the future daimyo on this ship sits on her throne no matter what. Just be ready. Something tells me that the allies of our enemies will be here soon, said Naruto while sensing danger off in the distance waiting for them. Sometime later, there were times where Naruto hated being right. While rare, the few times he was right, it had been with enemies coming out to kill him. Or those he cared about. Sure enough, 3 snow shinobi had decided to attack the ship, and ultimately try to sink it with his ice jutsu taking shape of large animals. One of them being a giant whale. Fortunately, Naruto was able to blast it to pieces with said pieces falling away from the ship itself. The debris still made waves and shook the ship as a result, but the display by Naruto to fly at them in an all-out taijutsu fight made the 3 snow nin retreat. The red-haired Saiyan knew they would report back to Dodo and inform him of their assignment being failure. For now. If anything, Naruto felt this battle was to test the waters, pun not intended, on how well defended Koyuki was defended from her uncle's forces in this attack. The fact several ninja teams guarding her were from Konoha would most likely make Dodo concerned, since shinobi from Konoha had been here before on a previous mission. No doubt the snow nin who attacked recognized Kakashi and would report his presence to Dodo. At least Kakashi would be good cannon fodder, since Dodo will no doubt want him killed off first, since the tyrant would assume the Junin was the strongest leaf nin protecting Koyuki. Unfortunately, her royal pain in the ass for a future daimyo chose to slip away from the group shortly after landing on snow country soil. Sighing and glaring at Team 7, since they were supposed to be watching her, Naruto took off through the forest to find the woman running through the snow, and had clearly fallen multiple times doing it. You are truly helpless. You know that, right? Asked Naruto while hovering in front of her with his arms crossed and saw the woman struggling to move through the thick snow. The only reason Koyuki wasn't cold just yet was due to the thickness of her clothing. No doubt part of the design for the movie when shooting a winter scene and keeping the actress warm to play her part. Shut up. I won't go back. I can't go back. Don't you get it? This place, this weather, and these people are all insufferable, exclaimed Koyuki while Naruto frowned. Insufferable. How? You just got here for the first time since your childhood, replied Naruto while slowly descending onto the thick snow. Yes. But I remember it all too well. The cold winters. The brutal snow. The people of our country suffering, yet enduring. All while my father tried to bring spring to winter, as he called it. Every day it was the same thing. Trying to bring spring to winter. Never stopping. Never ending. I never understood what he was doing. I don't think anyone truly understood his plans or his actions. And then, one day, everything changed. For the worst, said Koyuki with tears coming out of her eyes for the first time since the night it happened. When Big Bad Uncle came into the picture and killed your father, Naruto concluded with Koyuki nodding. And all for the power the country possessed. Power and technology this world has not seen due to the snow that buries it. But I have seen some of it. Train systems that can move things and people great distances and speeds faster than a horse ever could. Airships that take to the sky and transport you beyond the seas instead of risking the wrath of the water if traveling by boat. There is so much this country has to offer and my uncle wants to use it for evil. And yet I am powerless to stop it. The people can't stop it. I live a life of lies and deceit while everyone here suffers under my uncle's cruelty. I'm in hell, said Koyuki while finally glaring at him in anger. Hell. You want to talk to me about hell? Since my birth, people have been abusing me, torturing me, and trying to manipulate me for their own suck amusement. And for what? For something that wasn't my fault. All to be their puppet. Their slave. Their toy. Their weapon. And when I caught on, they tried to demand I suck it up. That I take it with a smile on my face and continue to take it long after without complaints. That I was always meant to be their plaything and the idea of thinking for myself was considered blasphemy in the eyes of my tormentors, said Naruto while Koyuki was shocked to hear this. What did you do? Asked Koyuki curiously since she didn't expect someone so young as Naruto have any kind of power to oppose those running his village. I told them to fuck off. That I was going to think for myself. I was going to be myself. And I told them I would use all the power at my command to ensure their cushy lives at the top of the tree would be ruined before my end. When I was younger, about 6 years old, after I took rather bad beating on my birthday no less, I promised myself that no matter what was thrown at me, I would endure. I would take this pain, this suffering, this abuse the village forced upon me and turn it into something else. I would become so strong and so powerful in life that nothing short of a god could challenge me. Now all the people in Konoha who abused, hated, or tried to use me are now pissing themselves in fear. I took what was sent my way and turned it into a means to get stronger. That is what you have to do. Your enemies think you are some spoiled actress. They don't think you have the spine to rise up and defy them. They think all the power is in their hands. You just need to prove them wrong by finding your inner strength and using it. Exclaimed Naruto with Koyuki slowly nodding. Isn't this a touching moment? So inspiring. The monkey boy teaches a spoiled princess how to stand on her own 2 feet. What's next? You teach her how to dance too? Asked Roganadair with a smirk from his position in a tree. Why don't you come down and I'll show you how, commented Naruto while fighting the urge to blast the snow into pieces since the sound would cause an avalanche. He needed to get in close. Tempting, but no. I suggest you hand over Dodo-sama's niece. Refusal would be unwise on your part, said Nadir confidently. Go lick a lemon, snow cone, said Naruto while Nadir frowned. I see. You are one of those kind of shinobi. The one who acts with his heart instead of his head, commented Nadir while Naruto smirked. I prefer to think of it as me being brave over that of being a weak coward. Like a certain snow nin in front of me, Naruto countered while Nadir scowled before smirking. Let's see how brave you are when dealing with an avalanche, exclaimed Nadir before he made a hand sign and triggered an explosion. You shit, cursed Naruto and was about to grab Koyuki when he noticed his feet had been frozen underneath him by several inches worth of chakra-made ice. While only temporary, it was in that time, Nadir struck first by grabbing Koyuki, and had her over his shoulder. And just because he could, the man gave Naruto an armored punch in the face. Not that it hurt Naruto, who didn't even feel it, but the Saiyan wasn't going to reveal that to the Snow Nin. Not when he was dealing with a fucking avalanche. Besides, Naruto knew that Nadir wasn't going to kill Koyuki. Not yet. Dodo wanted her alive for something. He sensed as much from when the attack on the ship was more of a probe into the defenses the ship had. Now the enemy was upping their game and it was time for Naruto to do the same on his end. Which he did moments later after the avalanche hit and Naruto exploded out of the snow before giving chase to Nadir. It wasn't hard to track him since he was entering a tunnel of sorts when Naruto found the fool. No sooner had the Snow Nin got halfway through the tunnel did Naruto fly past him with Koyuki once more in his arms. What? How? Demanded Nadir in shock while Naruto smirked. You didn't think such a weak move could stand against a Saiyan, did you? Said Naruto while he floated in the tunnel. And what the hell is a Saiyan? Demanded Nadir while preparing to use another ice jutsu. Only for Naruto to vanish and appear right in front of him. And shove a fist through the Snow Nin's armor and flesh. Me, replied Naruto menacingly before he made the man explode after shoving a ball of energy into him. Fortunately, for Koyuki, she was facing away from them when Naruto performed the act. What Koyuki did see was the sight of her country's legendary high-speed train coming at them right through the tunnel. It's the train. We are going to be crushed, exclaimed Koyuki while Naruto glanced back at the sight of the vehicle. Again, Bardock's old memories of the space pods, the power level detecting scouters, and other high-tech items the PTO came to Naruto's mind. Compared to those items, this train was a primitive piece of technology. Still, Naruto wasn't going to say anything since this world was not the one Bardock was from, so it was a moot point. Granted, he could destroy it, given his power, but there was a chance of the debris could fly out of control and hit Koyuki. So the best course of action was to get her out of the tunnel and somewhere safe. He could always blow up the train later. Hold on. We're going on a little ride of our own, said Naruto before took off and flew toward the opposite direction of the train. We can't outrun it. We are going to die, exclaimed Koyuki while Naruto growled. Shut up. I'm sick and tired of this, it's hopeless. We are going to die. Bullshit from you right now. We are not going to die. We are going to live and you are going to sit on that damn throne to rule over the people here, exclaimed Naruto angrily while flying faster and exited the tunnel in plenty of time before the train came out of it. And it just so happened that the two of them were near the movie crew and the Konoha teams guarding the group. Where were you? Asked Tenten curiously while Naruto set the princess down. Sorry, I was buried in an avalanche, and just finished outrunning a train. How are you? Countered Naruto with Tenten blushing in embarrassment since she had come off as rude to him. That scene flying out of the train was gold. We have to find a way to add that into the movie, stated the movie director, since this was well beyond anything he could have hoped for when making this movie. The sound of the train activating its brakes brought everyone toward and saw the long length of the locomotive had various compartments to hold something. And Naruto suspected that whatever this something was, it wasn't good for them. So, my foolish niece returns. And she brought help from Konoha no less. Add the rebel filth trying to take this country from its rightful ruler. How insulting. I will not let this act of betrayal by the people of this country go unpunished. They will die for this. All of them. Including their families. Down to the last child, stated Dodo from within the train into a speaker system, with his anger and bloodlust growing during his speech. Your niece is the next in line for the throne, Dodo. The fact you killed your older brother to take over also makes your claim for the title of daimyo forfeit by default, said Naruto while hearing the angry growl from the man's throat. My brother was a weakling. Spending all his time trying to make Snow Country a better place while failing at every turn. He was a failure for a daimyo. And failures like him have no right to rule, exclaimed Dodo, since he was always jealous of his brother and the fact that people loved the man over him. Dodo wanted to unlock the technological treasures of their county to bring about a new golden age, but at the same time, he didn't want to share the rewards such an endeavor brought. Not to mention his goody-goody noble elder brother and daimyo wouldn't allow such things to happen the way Dodo wanted. Dodo knew his brother would share the wealth with the people. Bah! The people. He hated the people. Always wanting what was his by right and might. And for what? Because they were all loyal. They should be loyal to him until the day they died and receive nothing in return, because the people, all the people, were beneath him. And now this monkey boy for a Konoha shinobi was denouncing him. All for killing his brother and taking it for himself. The nerve. Dodo. Your time is at an end. We will put an end to your end and bring new life to our country, declared Asama Sanadayu in full samurai armor and sword along with various other rebels ready for a fight. So the rebels show themselves. How nice. It saves me the trouble of hunting you down myself or employing my snow nin to do it for me. Since you are all here, let me show you a small, yet powerful demonstration of Snow Country's technological power through this train. Consider it a generous gift from your one true lord and master, stated Dodo with a cruel laugh echoing through the speakers. After Dodo finished speaking, the various train compartments soon shifted on the outside to reveal projectile launchers of some kind. It was actually making many of the people who were opposing Dodo, the Konoha protection detail, and the movie crew nervous at what was happening. Kakashi. Sasuke. Sai. Create an earth wall to protect everyone. Now, commanded Naruto while filling both his hands with energy. I don't take orders from you, loser. Sasuke shot back while Team Guy was rushing to get people out of possible firing range despite the snow impeding their movements. If you want to live past this moment in time, you will do as I say. Or do you want to be turned into corpse? Countered Naruto while Dodo laughed into the speaker. So the monkey boy figured it out. Good. Witness the full power of the kunai and arrow launcher system. Diiiee! Exclaimed Dodo before the system in question began firing volley after volley of pointy-tipped projectiles at them. God damn it. Kakashi. Sasuke. Sai. Do it now. Commanded Naruto while Kakashi and a reluctant Sasuke did what was asked of them. Only to surprise Naruto once more at their heartless actions when only two shinobi used enough chakra to create the earth wall to protect the movie crew, Team Guy, and of course Koyuki. But not the rebels. Cursing at them, Naruto moved quickly in the path between the projectiles, and fired his own energy attacks at them while they were still in the air. He got as many of them, but some of the projectiles got past the Saiyans since there were so many fired over and over again by the train. Finally having enough, Naruto formed one more energy ball before firing it at the train, and the end result was blowing it to high hell. The princess could bill him for the damage later after she became daimyo. Looking around, he saw quite a few rebels had been killed. Not as many as there would have been had not acted. But still there were quite a few severely injured, if not dead men on the ground. Staining the pure white snow with red life-giving blood. Some groaning in pain. Others crying over the loss of dear friends near them who had joined the rebel cause to overthrow Dodo. Speaking of that arrogant shit. During the commotion, the two remaining snow nin partnered with Nadare had managed to sneak off with Koyuki and get her into the airship now flying high above them. And what is worse, the people who were supposed to be watching her when he set her down, which was Team 7, had failed to do it. Sure, Kakashi and Sasuke had made the earth wall, but Sakura and Sai could have made sure Koyuki didn't get nabbed. Though one was just plain useless and Sai himself was an emotionless puppet of Danzo, so he may have been under secret orders to let it happen for some unknown reason. You idiots. Morons. Stupid people the world over. I am so fucking angry right now. Yelled Naruto angrily at Team 7 in its entirety. What is your problem, loser? We did what you asked, said Sasuke while annoyed and confused all in one. Hardly. You only saved the movie crew with your earth wall. You and Kakashi together had plenty of chakra in your bodies to make a wall large enough to shield everyone. Yet you chose to be cheap and save only a fraction of the people while I had to pick up the slack. I bet Sai didn't do what I asked because Kakashi silently countermanded my order so he wouldn't do it. Exclaimed Naruto while Sasuke scoffed. Like I care about those samurai dogs. Besides, they are rebels so they're scum in my eyes. We were hired to protect Koyuki and the movie crew. Not some lowly peasants in their pathetic quest to fight, said Sasuke while Naruto narrowed his eyes at him. And you feel the same way, Kakashi? Asked Naruto while the Junin shrugged. Sasuke has a point, Naruto. Nowhere in our contract with Osama Sanadayu does it say we protect the rebels. Besides, the movie crew is more important, and we would need any leftover chakra to protect them should the remaining snow nin flanked us, said Kakashi while Naruto looked even more pissed off. That is cold, my old rival. You should have made the wall larger. My team could have covered you and everyone else in the process, said Guy while he and the other did what they could to help Naruto stop the incoming projectiles. Using the Kaiden. Shooting projectiles at incoming projectiles. Or moving to grab targets to get them out of harm's way. Call it what you will, Guy. It's called protecting the VIPs you are paid to protect first and everyone else coming in second, said Kakashi calmly while Sasuke smirked. Oh really? Then how do you explain those snow nin capturing Koyuki and whisking her away onto Dodo's airship? Countered Naruto while pointing at the airship getting away from them. You can fly, right? Well, go fetch her, Chunin. Said Kakashi without worry over the fact he was treating Naruto more like a trained dog playing fetch and ignoring the ever-growing, extremely angry look on Naruto's face. Or the slow rumbling around them. You bastard. You go on and on about teamwork and friendship. But in the end, you are just another hypocrite. You not only risked the lives of the second team here, but also the rebels seeking to free themselves from Dodo. And for what? To protect the movie crew. Do you think they approve of you just saving them when it was possible to save everyone here? These rebels are not actors in a movie, who get hit by a projectile and suddenly get up once the director yells, "Cut," to wrap up a recorded moment. When they get hit by the projectiles and die, they stay dead. Exclaimed Naruto with his anger increasing and Kakashi narrowing his one eye at him. I don't need a lecture from a shinobi lower in rank and experience when compared to myself, Naruto. Besides, I am confident Dodo won't kill his niece. Not yet at least. She still has enough value to not be killed by his hands or one of the snow nin he employs, said Kakashi confidently while sound heartless when he did. Says you. We all know about the fucking crystal on her neck and its purpose. Dodo does not need her. He needs the crystal, countered Naruto while Kakashi just gave the boy his usual mask-shaped smile. Which is why I swapped out the real one for a nice fake one that looks exactly like it, replied Kakashi with Naruto's anger rising even more. And what happens when Dodo realizes the necklace with the crystal hanging around her neck is a total fake? Who do you think will suffer for such a humiliation? Dodo already had his brother killed to get the throne. Do you really think his niece will be spared such a thing? Her value to him is now worth zilch, exclaimed Naruto angrily knowing this mission was possibly minutes away from being a total fucked up failure. As long as Dodo doesn't get the crystal to start up his plans for world domination, I can live with that, stated Kakashi to the shock of Team Guy and the anger of his former genin student. I hate. You. I never thought it was this possible to hate someone at this level before now. But you You. Ah! Yelled Naruto at the end while his power shot up and everyone saw him begin to go through some kind of change. The ground began to shake violently. The sky became filled with storm clouds. Lightning shot out from the clouds to strike the ground around them, terrifying the rebels and the movie crew alike. And most importantly, they saw Naruto was changing too. His newly changed into red hair quickly changed color to blonde for only a brief second before it went back to red. And changed yet again from red to blonde for another second. Only to happen again. And again in another second. And again in another second. Naruto, you need to calm down, pleaded Lee while getting nervous, and it seemed the young Saiyan's rage was only increasing. Calm down. I will not calm down. I have enough of people telling me what to do, how to do it, and judging my actions when their actions are the one that should be put into question. I will not live my life being told how I feel and what I should be feeling, exclaimed Naruto while glaring holes at a now concerned and nervous Kakashi. And it wasn't just him. Team 7 as a whole was become frightened by this. Even Sai. And that boy wouldn't have known fear until now if it came up and punched him the face. What power. I've never seen or felt anything like this. I don't even have my Byakugan on and I can feel it, thought Neji before Naruto let out one last yell from deep within. And his body seemed to be consumed in a golden fire that changed his hair plus his eyes at the same time. His hair was once again a golden blonde color and his eyes were now an intense turquoise color. Holy shit, exclaimed an injured Sanadayu, who was being treated by Tenten for the projectile that hit his leg. My thoughts exactly, thought everyone else while the director was making sure that his cameraman was getting every single second of Naruto's new form before and after it completion. When this Kakashi, I am going to enjoy beating you within an inch of your life. So by all means, enjoy this time being whole, and pain-free, while it lasts, stated Naruto and shot toward the airship leaving a golden streak in his wake. Yash. The Yondaime Hokage was known as the Yellow Flash. Naruto could be called the Golden Streak, said Lee with fire in his eyes since his new rival had ascended to a level of strength never before seen by anyone. How can he have such power? It should be mine. Mine. Thought Sasuke with his anger and slight insanity creeping through his mind. With Naruto, he caught up to the airship instantly. Without any kind of restraint, Naruto easily ripped the door off and let the pressure along with the wind rip through the hallway. Already, the alarms were indicating there was a serious problem and alerting the owner of this vessel that something was wrong. And sure enough, the two remaining snow nin came to investigate. Only for both of them to be obliterated on the spot by Naruto shooting an energy ball that also destroyed another portion of the airship. Not that it bothered Naruto or the fact the damage caused the airship to tilt. He moved with a purpose, damaging the airship in the process before kicking the door down, the door leading the bridge. And standing there was Kazuhana Dodo, wearing his own chakra armor while holding his niece tightly by the throat. So the noble hero comes to save the princess. How pathetic. It's like something out of a fairy tale. You even look the part, mocked Dodo with a sneer while not impressed by the sight of Naruto's transformation. Release her or die, replied Naruto coldly while seeing Dodo had a fresh cut on his face and a blood-stained dagger on the ground. Clearly Koyuki had tried to get in close and do some kind of damage to the man. Or at least leave a mark of some kind that he wouldn't soon forget. Good for her. You overreach boy, countered Dodo while young Saiyan in front of him formed a ball of energy in his hands. Last chance shit for brains, said Naruto while Dodo used his niece as a living shield. You won't fire that thing at me. Not when my niece is involved, countered Dodo with his voice-filled arrogance and confidence. You're right. I won't fire it at you, said Naruto while Dodo's smirk grew. And that is why I am the ruler of Snow Country now. I don't feel the need to care about anyone else, but me, commented Dodo and expecting Naruto to stop his intended attack. You misunderstand. I won't fire it at you. I'm going to fire it within your airship, said Naruto before he raised his arm to fire the energy behind him. What? Questioned Dodo before Naruto fired the beam of energy behind him and caused a massive explosion behind the Saiyan. Boom. The explosion could be seen from the ground. Many were horrified since they feared the worst had happened in not only losing one of their protector's comrades, but the future daimyo of Snow Country. Fortunately, when the dark cloud following the explosion had begun to clear, the golden glow and streak came into view. The rebels cheered at seeing Naruto return and with Koyuki alive in his arms before setting the woman down. It was clear from the dazed look in her eyes, the woman didn't know what truly happened on the airship as things exploded. Naruto understood. He knew that Koyuki believed her life should have ended there, but the Saiyan had moved faster than Dodo thought possible to grab the woman from his grip. Once he did, Naruto shielded her with his energy so the explosion wouldn't harm her in the slightest. "Thank you, Naruto. Thank you for saving me," said Koyuki while Naruto simply smiled and nodded. "That was amazing," exclaimed the movie director while dancing around and was so thrilled by what he saw. "That's a bit of an understatement," remarked Naruto to himself before he powered down to his normal state. "This movie is going to dominate every other movie out there. We got everything. The drama, the passion, the transformation you went through, the explosion of the airship and the saving of the princess. This will be the best movie ever," exclaimed the movie director knowing that some of the things his cameraman got on film would have broken the budget he had already and just got it all for free. Not to mention it was all authentic. No special effects. No cheap tricks or sleight of hand. It was all real. People loved realism in their movies. And he got something incredibly real. On film. For free. "Well, at least everything is fine now with Koyuki safe," commented Kakashi before he felt Naruto's fist hit him in the stomach with enough force to lift the man off the ground. "When we get back to Konoha, I will see your ass gets nailed to the wall for your actions here today, Kakashi. Make no mistake, you will answer for it," said Naruto angrily before he walked away with Koyuki after snatching the real crystal that Dodo had wanted from the start. "He is not wrong, my old rival. When we get back to Konoha, you will have much to answer for in connection to your actions," said Guy knowing he and his team would back Naruto up when it came time to report to the Hokage. "Don't worry, sensei. We'll back you up," stated Sakura while Kakashi struggled to stand and look over at where his sensei's son was walking. "I messed up. My actions will be reviewed by Tsunade and I doubt the Hokage will is merciful with a simple punch," thought Kakashi while he saw everyone was following Naruto to the machine Dodo had planned to activate. The man had been bragging about it to Koyuki prior to Naruto's rescue of her and had wanted to see what exactly the man was after. "Do you think it is safe to activate?" asked Koyuki curiously. "Your father spent a lot of time making this thing, right? Do you believe he was making a weapon? Or something to help your country survive the bitter cold?" asked Naruto while Koyuki smiled gently and went to the control system before putting the crystal in the slot. Soon, the machine began to function. Gears, pistons, and other components activating as power was fed into the machine. The actions making the machine's various parts move had helped the snow on it fall to the ground and revealing the many giant mirrors aimed in different directions. With them in position, the sunlight shined down on the mirrors, creating heat from the reflective panels creating the needed heat to melt the snow. As a result, the melting snow revealed luscious fields of grass, flowers, plants, and other things with spring itself finally appearing after so many long years of being lost to winter's ever-cruel embrace. "This is unbelievable. He did it. My father actually did it. He made spring come to our country," exclaimed Koyuki with actual tears now coming out of her eyes. "I thought as much. A man like your father doesn't spend so much time trying to bring spring to a winter-filled country and leave behind a weapon. Dodo was a fool. He was so confident that what was being made here could be used as a weapon. It's clear that the fool did not know his brother at all when it came to making something like this," said Naruto while basking in the feeling of spring touching this land for the first time in a long time. Spring County capsule. Sometime later, the renamed Spring Country was celebrating its new beginning for all of them now that Dodo was dead. They were free to be happy. Free to walk around their cities, their towns, and homes without fear. Fear of being persecuted. Fear of being violated. Fear of being killed. They were finally free of their fear. "Are you sure it's not possible for your group to stay longer?" asked Koyuki now dressed in daimyo robes that were very similar to her Princess Fune clothes she wore in all of her movies. "Tempting, but we sadly can't stay any longer. We have to report back to the Hokage and let her know how the overall mission was a success," said Naruto while Koyuki looked sad, but quickly cheered up. "Oh well. Maybe in the future, should I require your services. I know who to call, Naruto-kun. Until then, here is something to remember me by," said Koyuki before she presented him with a signed autograph of her in the Princess Fune outfit. With a lipstick kiss on it and a message too. See me when you are a few years older. I will give you a real thank you involving less of what you see on me and far more in the bedroom. Kazuhana Koyuki. I am definitely taking her up on that offer in the future, thought Naruto with a smirk and gave the woman a nod of understanding after reading the message on the autograph. You better. It would be unbefitting of my vessel to not pounce on such an opportunity to claim a female daimyo of a country. Besides, you can now claim to have conquered an entire country through bedding her, said Kyuubi while giving him a knowing look. You really are into this whole conquest of women thing, aren't you? Thought Naruto, as he saw the fox in his body smirking. Koyuki smirked back before she walked off to meet some kids asking for her autograph, which this time around, the woman had no problem giving to her devoted fans. She also made a note in her mind to revisit Konoha again to give those children from before the much-needed autographs they asked for the first time around. Konoha Underground Route HQ, this is bad. Dodo has fallen and the Kyuubi brat has gotten even stronger. I had hoped my agents in Dodo's ranks could leak information on where his niece was heading and the fool could send the Snow Nin to intercept them. But they failed. All of them. Not only did Dodo get it in his head to act like the paper tyrant in believing the country was his to rule, he also provoked the Kyuubi Jinchuriki to change into some kind of golden warrior. Now his powers have seemingly multiplied several times over. He not only killed Dodo, but the other 3 Snow Nin, and saved Koyuki from harm, thought Danzo while he looked over a report Sai had sent to him in advance while the teams were heading home. And it was quite an report to say the least. While Konoha now has a foot in the door to the country's resources and technology in the future, it will only stay that way so long as the Kyuubi Jinchuriki stays loyal to the new Hokage. And Konoha by extension. This last piece of information is unacceptable. His loyalty is hardly what one would consider stable. Not only that, but the Jinchuriki's loyalty is not to me like it should. Such a tool and weapon should be loyal to the true Konoha. Loyal to the real Konoha. The Konoha I have always represented and strived to achieve despite others always keeping me from my destiny, thought Danzo with his memories of those who stood in his way making the man grip his cane in anger. Tobirama for naming Hiruzen as his successor. The Uzumaki clan as a whole and their self-righteous attitude toward the Biju being sentient beings over that of mindless beasts. Uzumaki Mito and Uzumaki Kushina for keeping the Kyuubi from being utilized as a weapon against Danzo's and therefore Konoha's enemies. Hiruzen himself for accepting and surviving several discreet assassination attempts made by Danzo so he could take over in the man's place when it came to making a nomination. Namikaze Minato to succeed Hiruzen after the Third Shinobi War. Hiruzen for once more becoming Hokage after the Yondaime's death. Senju Tsunade becoming the new 5th Hokage through Jiraiya's recommendation after Hiruzen died. The last one had infuriated him to no end. Earlier that day, Danzo had used the power of his Sharingan eye in his head to influence a powerful noble who was in Konoha that day. If he had known when the nominations for Hokage were going to happen, Danzo would have used his eye to nominate himself. He was Hiruzen's rival in their younger years and Danzo had only expanded his ambition with time. He had the wisdom, the knowledge, and experience to run Konoha. Let the young generation march to their deaths. That was what shinobi were for when sent out on missions. Tools to be sent to their deaths. And if they somehow survived, just send them out again and again and again until they finally do die. As for the moral implications, Danzo cared for none of them. So long as he was Hokage and plans of his own creation were accomplished to bring Konoha to greatness, he didn't care about the lives of others. Only Danzo's life mattered. Only Danzo's life had any value. Everyone else around him was insignificant. He was a weapon holder. A wielder of tools. And in Danzo's mind, everyone not him was either a weapon or a tool to be used and thrown away when necessary to achieve his ambition. For now, I have to be cautious when dealing with Konoha's weapon. The more enemies and obstacles I send toward the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, he gets stronger as a result. While it is beneficial that he crushes Konoha's enemies, it will also making him more dangerous for when the time comes to make my move against Tsunade. What is worse, his powers and mentality is an unknown factor in all of this. Calling himself a Saiyan, I do not know if the Sharingan eye can be used to control or subdue him. Even if the Sharingan worked on the Jinchuriki, for a time, there is always a chance the control I wish to establish will be temporary, thought Danzo with a frown since the weapon's powers were an unknown. And Danzo hated the unknown. Not only that, but the power Naruto wielded seemed to be based on rage. The Sharingan made people and animals go into a rage. Biju especially. Danzo had no intention of using his Sharingan and risk adding fuel to an unpredictable fire he knew would not be controlled, even by a powerful genjutsu unleashed by such a rare Sharingan. He would let the weapon revel in his victory. It was a victory for Konoha and in a way, for himself. One step closer to accessing resources his spies within Dodo's ranks would never have been able to obtain due to the tyrant's paranoia in wanting to keep it all to himself. Besides, Dodo would have been a threat to Danzo and his own ambition in the years to come. It was best to have the fool removed now before the threat became too much to be ignored and Dodo becoming so arrogant as to reveal his secret relationship with Danzo himself. It makes certain people demand answers. Answers Danzo did not and would not give to anyone since he felt his approach to things was justified. The man felt he didn't have to answer to anyone or anything. He was the future ruler of the world and as such, Danzo was beyond the judgment of lower beings. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys liked it. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like for more what ifs and support the author. See you guys in the next video.